Good morning. Welcome to Hometown Heroes. Just imagine 80 years ago, there was a young man walking the beaches of Normandy and picking up the weapons of those Americans that died. And then fast forward to Vietnam, there was another young man. He was a helicopter pilot in Vietnam. And those two men became fathers. Gene's father was the one in D-Day, and Matt's father was the one in Vietnam. And those fathers instilled in their children a love for America and a love for our veterans. And then we have Leslie, who's another generation, whose grandfathers also, through her parents, instilled that love for America and love for our veterans. I just want to welcome our friends today. This is Matt and Gene Tuggey and Leslie Tuggey, and they have a great ministry, I guess you could call it, to help our veterans. So, Matt and Gene and Leslie, welcome to Hometown Heroes.
Well, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for having us.
Just tell us a little bit about y'all. You've got a dental practice, Cosmetic and Family Dentistry of North Texas, and Gene, you must have started about grade school if you've been doing dental work as long as you have.
Yes. Well, I started actually in 1978. I was a dental hygienist. And I moved to Dallas. My dad was transferred out of New York, and I didn't want my younger brother traveling to Texas on his own. So we packed up the car and the dog, and I got to drive down here in an old Renault with no air conditioning.
In August.
And we rolled into Dallas, and it was 1:13. And I thought to myself, dear Lord, is this what hell is like? Because it felt that way. So that's when I started, and I got a job in Dallas for Dr. Thornton, who's a very well-known, renowned dentist and TMJ expert. So I guess that's where I started out.
Well, that's just part of the story. Yeah. So she was a hygienist for a couple of years and was working with this doctor in Highland Park, Dallas. And said, well, you know what? There's no reason why I can't do this. And so she said, and at the time we were dating, she said, you know what? I think I'm going to go to dental school, and she did. That's so what 40, almost going on close to 50 years in the business.
Yeah, 47 from dental hygiene school. So
that's a long time.
So by now, Rick, she's seen everything.
Yeah.
And Leslie, 3 years out of school, of course, the storytelling between the two is we could write a good book.
Oh, yeah. I could write a good book.
My oldest granddaughter has told us she's going off to college next year, and she said she wants to be a dental hygienist. And I'm like, so maybe she'll follow in your footsteps and be a hygienist, and then decide that's what she wants to do.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. But anyways, that's Gene's background in dentistry. On the veteran side, like you said, both of our fathers served, and Gene's dad especially. Like you said, can you imagine an 18-year-old guy out of high school walking the beaches of Normandy after all that, and it's just amazing stuff.
Yeah, he joined the Army when he was 17, and then they, of course, were shipped out, and so he just had turned 18 when he was, walking the beaches, seeing what they could salvage from the soldiers. So. It kind of impacted me. Well, it did impact me. So I can't imagine being 17 or 18 and having to do that or be shot and killed in war. So,
and the interesting thing about her dad is that, of course, he went on he went back to school and became a chemist and worked for a big chemical company and very successful. I mean, you hear stories about people who are in these situations that don't do well afterwards. Well, he fortunately did very well. And of course, that was a different generation, right? I mean, so.
Yeah.
But,
That's right.
Gene, did he talk much about it, or did it take years for him to?
Not very much. And I was ignorant that we should have asked more questions at the time. But my mom had a bunch of letters that he wrote home to his mom and sister. They all served in World War II. My grandmother was a stenographer and did stuff in the offices, and my aunt Lois was a surgical nurse. So they all served. So he used to write letters home for his mom to get. And so my mom put a book together that told what he was kind of going through and seeing. So it gave me an insight as to, kind of thinking I knew what he was going through or something like that. I know I couldn't have known, but it kind of helped me out.
Probably had a lot of
don't do that. That's quite a blessing.
He probably had post-traumatic syndrome too. We just didn't know,
I think a lot of the people back then, a lot of people that served had it, but there was nothing that said you had post-traumatic stress syndrome. So they just dealt with it.
Wasn't diagnosed.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
But anyways, he was a great guy. Good father, good grandfather to Leslie, and good husband. Just a good man.
Yeah.
And then your dad, he was a helicopter pilot and retired as a colonel in the Army.
Yeah. Well, of course, he was in 30 years, and he loved the military. I mean, they had to kick him out. Well, they didn't kick him out, but he didn't want to leave. But he joined when he was 18, and he was in the Army band in San Francisco.
Was he really?
Yeah, and so he was after his 4 years or 2 years or whatever his commitment was. One of his mentors, a major, talked him into staying and making a career of it, and then he went to officer training school, flight school, and and like I said, he loved the military. He was in Korea and Vietnam, 2 tours in Vietnam. He loved it, man. He ate it up. Now my mom, the funny family story is my mom lived in how many?
46 different houses.
Yeah. Right.
Oh my. Yeah, the Army moved a lot.
When you talk about veterans, you have to include the wives, because she served too. Let me tell you what. She
and the children, like you, Matt.
Yeah, but the thing is, my childhood was great. I mean, we were always on a base. We ran around and did whatever, and no issues. MPs chased us down a few times, but MP, military police.
Yeah.
Actually, at Corpus Christi, it was the Shore Patrol came out for a few times. But anyways, it was a very secure environment, and all of the. I think the neatest thing about growing up in the military is you talk about diversity. I mean, there was all this group of people, and the thing they had in common, it was red, white, blue, man. That was what it was about. And I wish more kids now had that opportunity, for sure. But he loved it. Joined as a buck private and retired as a full colonel. So,
can't beat that.
He did okay. He did well.
He did. And he did well at raising a son.
Well, thank you. Well, there's 3 of us. Three. I'm the middle son. My younger brother is a Navy veteran. Navy veteran. And then Tim, my older brother, was an Army veteran. And actually, he served under General Cavazos at Fort Hood. He was his communications officer.
Yeah.
And and just thought the guy was as cool as could be. Very nice, personable. So yeah, we have a few veterans in the family for sure.
And how did you start serving the veterans? Because I know that you're both very involved, and Leslie's very involved in serving our veterans. How did that happen?
Well, it happened. It started at Torchy's Tacos.
Yeah,
Believe it or
Torchy's.
not.
I was hungry for a taco that night.
So I'll let Jean tell the story, and I'll fill in the blank.
Well, we went to Torchy's. We both wanted Mexican food, and ate our dinner. And we noticed a gentleman cleaning up the dishes on the table, and he was so nice and smiling and everything, but his dentition needed a lot of work. And I said, Matt, can we do anything to help this guy? Because it looks like, he really needed dental care. So Matt, of course, starts talking to him. Hey, how's it going? And we learned he was in the military, Marine, I believe, right?
Yep.
And then
And his son was a Marine too.
Yeah. So then we got talking, and he went away, and Matt and I said, let's leave a card or something. He can call us if he wants dental care free of charge. And so sure enough, he called the next day. I got in on the schedule, and we got him fixed up and got him a new set of teeth, and he just was beaming.
Yeah.
And smiled and told everyone about us. So I think that's what started us out, and then it went on.
Well, I think also it was our parents. I mean, none of us serve, but we can serve those who have served, and that's what we decided to do. But with this guy, first of all, growing up, being around dentists, that's the first thing they notice is
Really?
hey, your teeth ain't working. Because you can't go up to guys and man, your teeth really look bad. So you kind of have to tiptoe around that a little bit. But we did with this guy, and we didn't expect to hear from him. And sure enough, he called the next day, and we fixed him up. And then that's when we decided that we would start this program within the office here, Smile for Vets program. And since then, we've seen
Quite a number.
50 or more dentists, veterans through that program. Leslie's working on a guy right now.
Why don't you talk about?
So I have a patient that's the sweetest person ever. He's in his late 70s, and he is, I think, one of 10. And, he suffers from dementia, and his brother or sister will take him every time he comes here and pick him up from his nursing home and everything. And he's always just so happy to come here. But he had written on his new patient form that he hadn't seen a dentist since he had served in the Army, which his last tour was in 73. So about 50 years ago. So, he was in bad shape dental wise, but just was like so happy to have the opportunity to get help and even just routine dental care, like the cleanings and exams and stuff. And we ended up making him a set of dentures and a partial, and he's like, wow, I can eat now, and we see him every 2 months, and he's just lights up the office when he comes in, and it's very rewarding, and he feels like he matters and he deserves it. Obviously, he served our country, and even if he didn't, he deserves, the chance to get his teeth taken care of. So he's my favorite. I love him so much. So
yeah, he was a Vietnam veteran. And I think the cool thing about what these two do is and if you're not in the business, you kind of take it for granted. But what they can do with their hands and skills is sometimes life changing. And especially for our Torchy guy, the Marine, and for the guy that Leslie's working on right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a complete transformation. And these people are very, very appreciative because the VA is not going to help them.
No.
Well, this guy was only in 2 or 3 years.
Right.
So there was no VA support.
exactly.
And, but we do, so we started this after our Marine at Torchy's, and, we do some screening. This is geared for people who can't otherwise afford a lot of cosmetic dentistry. And the VA doesn't do, I mean, they do just the basics basically, if you're lucky.
Yeah,
And,
if you're lucky. Right.
and so we have like you guys have, Air Power Council has sent us some folks. The VA does send us some people, and we do have some screening. All we need to see is a DD 214, and then let's go.
Yeah.
And we put them in the chair, and see what we can do for them.
And whenever you do that, I mean, you do a lot of stuff. I mean, it's not like let's correct this, but let's get your dental health where it should be.
Right.
So it's a process, not just come in today and let us fix that tooth. It's, hey, let us get you up here in this level where you should be, and then we'll take care of the other problems.
Sure.
Or the other issues. And one of your famous people was Michael Jernigan, and he's a dear friend of ours. He was a Marine in Iraq, got hit with an IED, lost the sight in both his eyes, and just an incredible guy. But he was one of your patients.
Yes. I've seen him for quite a number of years. I think he's moved.
He's in DC right now.
Yeah.
Years ago.
But he was always just cracking jokes and
That's him.
playing tricks on me. And I would be like such an area, like, where's Michael? Oh, he's hiding down the hall.
Yeah, when the Jernikins showed up, it was a party.
Yeah, it was a party. We were all laughing
he had
all the time.
and he had so much to be better about, but it just wasn't. I mean, he came in and the whole office lit up, and we missed him. Actually, we saw him about a year ago. He came in.
I think he did come by.
Yeah.
I don't remember what I did, but you got him fixed up though. You did crowns. And
So has Leslie been exposed to Michael?
I have not.
No, we need her to.
Yes, I haven't been lucky enough. Yeah.
It's a treat. When Michael's on deck because
Sure do.
Well, the thing is, we met him at it was an Air Power Council War Stories deal. He got up and spoke, very funny, kind of made fun of the situation when really nothing funny at all about it. But he, I think the story he told was, I was in charge of finding these IEDs, and sure enough, I found one.
Yeah, that sounds like Michael.
Yeah,
he did a good job.
Funny, but he made fun of it.
Self-deprecating.
And,
Yeah.
Well, then we went up to him, and we noticed also, again, this is because I'm married to the dentist,
Sorry about that.
his teeth needed a little work. And we went up to him and says, hey, you know what, we can't do anything about your eyesight, but we can make sure you have some really nice teeth. So here's our card, and come on in. And sure enough, they came in. So really, really nice people. And matter of fact, after this, I'm going to find out, because I know they still come into town. But we haven't. I think they were here about a year ago, but we'll check up on them and see how they're doing.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Y'all did good work on him. So
Yeah, he made a big impact on me too, because you go through life and you have these little problems and think, oh, I can't deal with this, and then you see someone like Michael, I'm gonna get teary-eyed again, who is so happy all the time and giving, and he doesn't appear to have any problems in the world, and you would think that person should be just.
I'm going to tell you a Michael story.
Yeah.
I went on a hunting trip with him. It was just a hunting trip for him. We were hunting on 18,000 acres, and we were staying in this lodge. And, in the evening, we would get together and eat dinner and stuff. And Michael went off to the bathroom. And he came back in a little bit with a roll of toilet paper. And he said, guys, would you put this roll of toilet paper on the back of the toilet so I can find this? And,
Yeah.
you don't think about that's a problem. You go to a strange place, you got to find the toilet paper. So,
Well, and we have a story about Michael too, because he had an appointment here, and his wife left to run errands, and he was going to take Uber to get home.
Yeah.
And they lived just a few blocks away. Well, the Uber driver drops him off at the wrong house.
Oh no.
Michael's trying to get into this house, and there's a lady in the house calling 911, and they don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
The police show up, and Michael's like, "What am I going to do?" And so the police sorted it all out. But you do take that stuff for granted. I mean, and I know that he's in. I think the last I talked to him, he's the president of the Blind Veterans Association. Is that correct?
I think so. I'm not sure the name, but he's the head of it. So.
Right.
He and his wife.
Well, he was trying to get the VA to approve, because he couldn't. When he went to the VA, they wouldn't pay. He couldn't get transportation
because he wasn't disabled, but he was blind.
Yeah, it was some stupid rule, and of all people that needs a ride to the VA clinic, it's this guy.
Yeah.
And so, very, very great people. Like I said, when they walked in the door, it was a party, and all of our staff loved it.
Definitely. We really missed them.
Anyways, those are a few people that we're working with, and there's a lot more stories, but I know we only have another 30 minutes. So
But I'd like to give a shout out to Leslie, because Leslie is my wife Susan's dentist, and Susan's getting up in age, and whenever I first met her, I was about 16 years old, and I saw this beautiful girl with a beautiful smile, and her smile's what attracted me. And over the years, the last 55 years or so, well, that smile's kind of diminished a little bit, and started having some problems that needed some cosmetic work. And she went to Leslie, and Leslie, she just adores you, and she just loves you so much, and you did such a beautiful job, because now she's got that smile back that she can share with the world and share with her grandkids, and you did a tremendous job. So
thank you.
We're indeed grateful to you and to Matt and Jean, because y'all, you give world-class service. I mean, she was blown away whenever she just first walked in the door, and then with all the people in your clinic, she just, said, these are the nicest people I've ever met. So,
well, she's extremely deserving. So I'm glad that I could give her smile back. And I know we've still got a little bit more to go. So I'm excited to see her again. So tell her to come see me.
Now, did you guys in the military, Rick?
I beg your pardon?
Did you guys meet in the Army?
No, we actually met. I was 16 and she was about 17, and her family joined the church one night, and I went up there and talked to her, and then she got active in the youth group. We both went to the same school, but we never, it's Arlington Heights High School, and a couple of thousand people there, so we never did cross paths. But I went in the Army first, and then after I'd been in about a year, then she went in. So, and it's really comforting to sleep with a woman who can kill people and is highly trained to do that. I know Mary's husband's probably the same way, I mean.
In case you're in a deep sleep, she knows what to do, right?
That's right. So I have to be kind to her, because she knows how to kill people. So.
But we discount to the point of Susan and what Leslie's doing. We discount so much the fact that the teeth make such a difference in a person's life. If their teeth are all messed up and you don't feel comfortable, you don't smile, and if you don't smile, then you start to get grumpy and people think you're grouchy and they avoid you. So it just creates a whole plethora of issues. And to your point, that even the, you know, and Rick and I have talked about this a number of times when we talk about y'all and what you're doing and how important it is, because as a first sergeant with reservists, and, you know, it happens the same thing for guardsmen. So if you look at people think, oh, well, they're in the military, they've got plenty of dental care. Well, you don't have plenty of dental care. If you're active duty, anything that happens with your mouth gets taken care of. It costs you nothing. But if you're a reservist or a guardsman, that's not the case. Even when you're in your active duty time for the weekend or for 2 weeks, they're not going to take care of your teeth. And if you have a tooth problem, the single biggest reason my people were not deployable was because of their mouth, because of their teeth.
Right. Yeah.
And it's a crying shame because they had to make a choice between filling this cavity or buying groceries that week in some cases, because again, they're only guaranteed 39 days of pay a year. The rest of the time, it's whatever they're doing in the local economy. And so what folks like you do, and I know there's a few other folks around because I dealt with some other ones too when I was actively serving, but it really helps those reservists and those guardsmen to have folks out there that are willing to take on handling some of those things that they can't afford, that are keeping them from being deployable, which when they deploy helps them in a plethora of other ways. Besides, it's more typically a lot more money for their family. It's medical care during that time that they're deployed for their family. It's education benefits they're earning. There's you just compound everything that they're losing when they can't deploy because of a tooth problem.
Sure.
And so what you guys are doing is really, it touches my heart, because I did everything I could when my folks really needed to be able to deploy for all of those benefits that they needed. And I searched high and low to find people like you that would be willing to help them out, just because I knew how important that was. So thank you guys for what you're doing. It really does matter. It makes a difference.
Well, thank you. Thank you this is the least we can do for
our military.
For people that put their lives between us and the enemy. I mean, that's one thing my dad taught us, the three boys, is that, of course, he, you know, someone like him hated the thought of going to war, but he knew that sometimes it's needed. I mean, very anti-war, but he knew that if he called up, it was his job. And of course, you know, Vietnam, in the 60s, we were in Virginia, and I remember stories where my mom was not treated well because he was in Vietnam, and that stuff just still infuriates me. But it's, you know, we've moved on, but you know, anyways, it's the least we can do. But to your point, Mary, and it's not just our veterans, a good dentist can really transform someone's life. They really can, because it's self-esteem. If you have self-esteem, you know, the sky's the limit. If you don't, then it can snowball into something a lot worse than just bad teeth. I mean,
plus a lot of times if people don't have their full dentition, they aren't chewing well, they're eating soft food, so that leads to health problems, which leads to they're finding some people get dementia if they have no teeth, or also not numerous teeth missing, or things like that.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like with the Torchies guy, for example, like just being able to be more confident with your smile and all that, it gives you so much more opportunity in the workforce, because if you're trying to apply for a job somewhere and you have no teeth, you're automatically kind of obviously at a disadvantage, you know, if you're front facing, working with people. So sometimes restoring the smiles is giving people a chance at better livelihood in terms of employment as well. So I think that's kind of a cool part about it too.
Yeah, definitely.
And what's kind of cool about the Tuggey family is that, you know, the Smiles for Vets, it's just a little bit of what y'all do to give back. And, you know, I've been around y'all 6-7 years, and, you know, I'm on the board of Freedom Mobility Foundation and with the Air Power Council, and I see a family that giving back is a lifestyle, because you have the dental clinic through your church that I think over the last 5 years you've done over $5 million of free dental care to people in the Metroplex, East Fort Worth, that couldn't afford it. And that's through your work, but some other colleagues, some other dentists, and the dental hygienist and the dental assistant through their work. And then with Freedom Mobility, you blessed a lot of people, and you know, y'all are the kind of people, they're kind of in the background. I mean, it's not, hey, look at me, you know, I'm up here presenting this, that we gave this. And a lot of times it's anonymous. You know, people don't know that you're behind it. And you make a difference in so many people's lives. And it's just a real honor to be your friend and to see the way y'all share, because the way y'all share is the way that the world needs to share and help people. So
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think some of that, though, that's a reflection of our parents.
Yeah. Definitely.
Because when I looked at, actually, I think my dad passed away in 2019, but before then he was had some dementia issues, and there was a lot of going through his stuff stage, and you go through all this stuff in the military and what he did, and you start reflecting on, you know, well, what can I do? What can we do now to honor his service? I'm going to give you a shout out to Freedom Mobility, because I want to talk about the Pottingers, because we got involved with them several years ago, and we were looking for, well, what happened is we had a Ford pickup, F-150, that we were going to donate to someone, and Kevin called me up and says, hey, we would love to have this truck that you're going to donate. So, sounds great, let's do it. Well, they modified it to for a guy in San Antonio who was, I think, paralyzed. And so that kind of started a learning curve for us, because we wanted to get involved with another veterans, with these veterans groups, and but we didn't, you know, so many times you hear these stories about you're sending money and the money is paying for $1 million salary for some guy. So we checked out Kevin and Ann, and of course, you know, these people are the highest integrity there is. And it's a small group, and so we knew that whatever we did, that money or those resources was going to go directly to the people that needed it, without dealing with the administration and all the middlemen and all that good stuff. So we're honored to be part with those guys, and actually right now we're working with the Marine we're working with right now. He's paralyzed. I forget his name again. And that's the project for 2024, is to, here's a guy with 3 small kids, and he's confined to a wheelchair, and he got hurt, and I think he was deployed twice in Afghanistan.
I think he's been deployed several times, and then had an incident in training in another country that paralyzed him. So
Right.
it's going to be a real blessing to him. But about the Ford pickup, you know, you gave it to that veteran, and I know that several months later there was some little thing that went wrong with it. I don't remember what it was, but you said, hey, take it to the dealership, get it fixed. You know, I mean, it's service after the sale, you know. I mean,
Well, I didn't want to we didn't want
The
to.
warranty is good.
We didn't want to donate a broken down truck. So I told Kevin, I said, just send me the bill, get it fixed,
Yeah.
and we'll take care of it. But those two, Kevin and Ann, outstanding
Yeah, they're
people.
wonderful.
We're really privileged to be associated with them. And
And Mary served with Kevin, so
He
Oh,
was
okay.
my wing commander. Yeah.
all right,
Yeah, I worked for him basically. He was my wing. He worked right down the hall from me.
I didn't know that. Realize
Yeah.
that. Okay, well, good.
they have a tremendous amount of energy, and they help so many people. I mean, it's just like they are focused in on helping people.
Well, you know what's funny? I know Kevin did very well in the military, but the general running the show right now seems to be Ann.
That's right.
She is so organized on everything, and she's going a million different directions. And so usually when we want an answer on something pretty quick, we go to Ann.
That's the way I do. I bypass Kevin.
Not against Kevin, don't get me wrong. But Ann has got it, and she responds pretty quick on that stuff. But
Yeah.
both of them are great people, and then we've hung out with their son Patrick, who's just like his dad. I mean, great guy. He's a
Absolutely.
pilot down.
They have a nephew that's similar. In fact, his nephew was one of our security forces guys when I was still serving, and then he transferred to another wing and went in to become an officer. I was talking to the general one time about, asking how he was doing. And he said, oh yeah, he became an officer. And I think he told me that he's flying, but I don't hold me to that. But yeah, because I was like, there cannot be, I think I was still in wing training at the time. And I was like, there cannot be two Pottingers that are not related. That's not a name that so, but yeah, I was talking to him and he said, oh yeah, that he's my uncle. I'm like, oh, okay.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
He was an incredible young man. So
Well, that's kind of how we got involved with them, because we did want to get involved with a reputable group that where the resources were going directly to the veterans. Because we've been involved with some charities where we had to back out, and there was a situation in South Texas where we were doing some work and found out that everything wasn't great, and so we backed out of the deal because we felt like the resources were being misused, and so we did. So if Kevin and Ann are listening, we did check you guys out, make sure, and very pleased to be associated with them. Because we know that with the resources, whether they come from us or other people, they're being used properly. Very happy about that.
One of our listeners made a comment, and that's Terry Burgess, Gold Star parent. It said, whenever we were talking about the dental clinic there, he said, I'm sold, making a long-needed appointment. So Terry will be there to see you soon. And another Gold Star parent is Carla Wicks, and she said good morning. She's going to be part of the program at Roll Call this month. So,
Okay.
And then, I don't know, you may know.
Yeah, Carla does such amazing stuff. So it's going to be, I know the program is going to be awesome. Everything Carla does, she wants it to be just a wonderful, wonderful thing and touch a lot of people.
Is this must be somebody y'all know here?
It's someone who watches our grandkids in Austin. So
Okay.
the post on Facebook, but yeah, she's a sweetheart.
Yes.
And she watches over you talk about focus right now.
Yeah.
It's those grandkids, Rick,
Yeah.
And but yeah, those two, 5 and 7, hell on wheels, but we can't get enough of them. And, we are actually this afternoon heading down to Austin to hang out with them.
And let's talk about your other daughter, Lindsay.
Lindsay is the mother of our granddaughters. Yes.
And she does something pretty unique. She doesn't work on people's teeth, but
she would not be the one that would want to do this. Actually, both of them said, "Nah, we're not interested in being."
No, but she specifically said to me, "Mom, I can't handle saliva." Well, then you don't want to be a dentist. Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, Lindsay is of course, there's a backstory. Lindsay was very good. Both daughters were very good athletes, softball, volleyball. But Lindsay had this artistic side. She was in theater and this type of thing. And we said, run with it and let's see what happens. She goes to college and majors in theater and communications. And we're like, okay, we're not sure what you're going to do for a living. But then she, out of college, she went to work with this company in Austin and was offered this lead role in this animation series. And has been doing it for 10 years. And it's just like, wow, how did this happen? So it's funny because we'll walk through an airport and she'll have people come up to her, Lindsay, can I get your picture or your autograph? And we're like, what? She goes to, actually, she's going to a convention this weekend in Washington State, I think Seattle. And she goes to these conventions and people come up to her and sign, autographs and selfies and all this stuff. And so, yeah, she's kind of not famous, but she's pretty popular.
She's a big deal.
Yeah, and the thing is, we'll stand back and watch her and how she treats people. She's just so gracious and handles it exactly like you should. Not, no ego involved, hugs people, and we're very proud of her success and how she handles herself in public. And of course, very proud of her two daughters. And Daniela, who made that comment, helps with the girls, with the grandkids.
That's good. She said, she made another comment. I feel blessed to know this wonderful family and learn more about their professional and charitable endeavors. So she knows a little bit more about you now.
Oh, yeah. Well, we've known, she's been Irish since 7, and she's been there since day one.
Yeah.
Wow.
So she's almost family with those two. And of course, she's managed their, she has to deal with the discipline and all that stuff. So she probably knows a lot more than what we know.
Yeah.
But she's always been a sweetheart and looks after. And we really appreciate her being a responsible person with our grandkids for sure.
So Lindsay tends to people's souls through her gifts. So.
Yeah, she does. That's how Lindsay operates. Like I said, we were really worried in college, thinking, what is she doing? But God's plan, it worked out. So we're very grateful.
Leslie, you've been in the practice about 3 years.
Yes, sir.
And joined the family, but you just recently brought somebody else in the family, didn't you?
Yes. I got married in May, so my husband John and I have been together about 8 years now. So we went to A&M together, and we were actually friends until we were friends until our senior year, and then we both were single, and we went on a date, and we never stopped seeing each other since. So
the rest is history.
Yes, yeah, he's pretty great. So we were long distance most of our relationships. So he actually got transferred to San Francisco for his job in COVID times. So that was obviously very difficult. And I was in dental school down in San Antonio. So we were like, if we can make it through this, we can make it through anything.
Right.
And then, I moved back to Dallas when I graduated, and then he finally proposed. I was like, all right, let's go. So anyway, we live in Dallas, and they're pushing the grandkids pretty hard. I said I need a year or so.
Listen, there's nothing better than grandkids. Leslie, I need to hook you and my oldest granddaughter up. She'll graduate in May, and she wants it. So her side of the family is almost all Aggies. 2 of my 3 kids are Aggies. And she plays volleyball. Like, we're going to watch her play Alito tonight. She's coming there well, they're coming from Waco up to Midway's play in Aledo tonight. So we'll get to watch her play. And she wants to go to A&M. So,
I love it.
Yep, I love it too. That's the best school ever.
I love A&M so much.
I need to hook you two up. Dental hygienist, she can talk to you about dental.
Sure.
Listen, this is perfect.
Information, I'd be happy to talk to her because it's kind of an intimidating thing trying to figure out where to go in college and pick the right classes to take and all that stuff. So I definitely had some people I could talk to that were older than me that had guidance, and then obviously they were very helpful, but you know, it's hard to figure out, you know, what classes to take and which route to go. So definitely.
And then when she started at A&M, had no idea that she wanted to be a dentist.
Right.
I think it was your junior year.
Yeah.
It's going to take a couple of years, right? So my middle child, she was the first one in the family in my family to go to college, and she went to A&M right out of high school, and she was 2.5 years into her, I think, marketing degree, and she decided she wanted to be a nurse. And I'm like, listen. She's like, well, I'm not going to go to nursing school at A&M. And I said, well, I'm going to tell you something right now, sister. Mama's paid for 2.5 years A&M. You're getting that Aggie ring. You're getting that Aggie connection. I don't care what you do after that. And so she finished May of 2008. And on that Saturday, she graduated A&M. That Monday, she started TCU's accelerated nursing program. And 15 months later, she became a nurse. And then a few years ago, she became a nurse practitioner. So it's a pretty neat little old journey to watch her having go through that. But I don't know anybody that gets in, and I don't know of anybody. There are probably people that get into college and know right away what they want to do.
Right.
So
it's hard to figure it out. I knew I wanted to be in healthcare, but I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And then, so I started just taking the core classes for like pre-med classes, if you will. And then I started shadowing her. Well, in the summers, you know, when I was home, they had me filing charts and answering phones up here and stuff. So I was putting in my time, but, then in college, I started actually like assisting her during procedures and watching.
And that's a nursing clinic.
Right. And then, you know, some of our specialists that we refer to were nice enough to let me shadow them as well. And it's like, you know, this is kind of cool. So I decided I was going to go the dental route, and I love working with my hands. And I was like, what better mentor than my mom? So it's kind of a special thing we have where I can call her every day after work and say, this happened, or I saw this person, or what would you do in this situation? I feel very privileged and lucky to work here and work for them. So it ended up being pretty cool.
That's
neat. It is cool. I know that Matt, you and Jean are really proud of her and the fact that she's part of your practice now, part of your clinic. So how can people get a hold of you? What's the best way to either for Smiles for Vets, or to come to the clinic, or to come to your clinic, or go to the clinic in East Fort Worth? Can they just call that 428 number?
The best way is to Google that name Tuggey, because there's not many Tuggeys around.
Okay.
If you Google the name Tuggey, DDS is going to show up. And our phone number's on there. The clinic that we're doing in Fort Worth is through our church, Weiss Chapel Methodist in South Lake. But Gina's and Leslie are seeing a lot of the Smile Vet folks there. As a matter of fact, the guy we saw Friday.
Yeah,
he's a vet.
Yeah. He's a Vietnam vet.
And so that's best way. Our phone number is 817-428-8700. But like I said, that if you don't have a pen and paper, just remember the name Tuggey, put it in there, and we'll pop up. I think the only that I know of are in Canada. So
if you have to travel to Canada, that's kind of far.
Yeah. So, but what's funny about Leslie, the first time we were talking about when she started assisting Well, tell the story about when you,
down south.
yeah, where you,
Well, so I would go shadow my mom, and we were working at this mission clinic down in Corpus because my dad grew up in Corpus on base there. So Corpus has a special spot with our family. We go down to Port Aransas a lot. And anyway, we were volunteering at this mission clinic, and my mom's yanking some teeth, and I'm assisting her. I've got my knees buckled out, and I'm start just profusely sweating, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm getting real dizzy. And this is, before I had much exposure. It's like, Mom, I gotta get out of here. I'm gonna pass out. And now it's funny, and I almost did. I got that tunnel vision in hearing. I was like very woozy, and it's funny looking back now because we do that all the time. But yeah, it definitely was.
do you really want to do this for a living?
There was some question: is this right for me? Can I work with blood? All that, but you get desensitized, and now I love it. But it was kind of funny looking back at some of those times where it's like, is this really what you want to do, or you maybe should be sitting at a desk behind a computer?
Well, I'll say this too, Rick. We talked last night about how physical this job is that they do, because they're working 8-9 hour shifts. You're bent over someone all day. I assisted Jean for a couple hours at the same place in Corpus, and
This was great.
And, I stand up to take a break, and she looks at me like, get back down here. We're not done. I'm like, and it is there's some brilliant people that can't be dentists because they just don't have the hand-eye coordination and the skills with their hands. And these two do. It's not only science, but you got to be able to do this stuff with your hand. And if you can't, you're going to be weeded out pretty quick.
Yeah, after one of Susan's extractions, you had to work, it seemed like a couple hours, and after she came out, she was wore out, but she said, I know Leslie's wore out. And so we decided not to do the second one today. So
she's so sweet, but man, we were joking about how her teeth did not want to go. They were there for the long haul. So we definitely had a little tug of war there, but she's just like the sweetest lady ever. So
well, she thinks the world of you.
Yeah, she's so amazing.
Well, Freedom Mobility, we've got a golf tournament coming up. Veterans Day. We have Lockheed out there, and the Armed Forces Bowl will be out there, and we'll be presenting one of your vehicles to one of our veterans.
Yep.
But you won't be able to make it out there that day, will you?
We were going to send Leslie, but she's out of town too. And then some of our other veteran friends, this trip we're going on, they're going to be with us. So,
okay.
But I know you're going to take good pictures, Rick.
We'll take good care of them. So,
Pottingers will be there. But I tell you, speaking of the golf tournament, it's amazing watching some of these guys that have lost their
wheelchair bound,
lost their legs, go out there and hit the golf ball. It's like, wow.
Yeah, here's one here that Scott Palomino. He's a trooper.
He is a sweetheart. He's such a nice guy, and we really enjoyed playing with him. And actually, if we were going to be in town, we would be playing with him this year. But yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah, he is, and he just happened that night that they got hit. He just happened to have his head at the opposite end of the bed, or he wouldn't be with us. And whenever I think it was a mortar round that hit.
Yeah, it was a mortar round, and he actually was so tired he went to sleep in the opposite direction that he usually sleeps.
Wow.
So,
very, very nice man. We enjoyed meeting him, and have met him several times since then. Good guy.
Yeah, I worked with Scott too. We were in the wing together. So.
Okay. Well, he's still at Carswell, or not?
Carswell. Yeah. And yes, JRB. It'll always be Carswell, though.
Correct. Well, and that's why I can get away with saying that. So, because when I came to Fort Worth, it was in 1979, and it was Carswell and it always will be. So, but anyway,
Yeah.
really nice guy Scott is. He's a good guy. Privileged to be with him. But there's, you know, they have these. There's this one guy, I forget his name, who's lost both his legs, and there's a special golf cart that they use that has a swivel on it.
The solo rider.
Swivels and then swings, hits a golf ball from the golf cart.
Yeah.
And he puts it out there. I'm like, holy cow, how can this guy hit this golf ball? And so, it's
cool.
Jane brought up earlier about sometimes we have our little problems, that we fret about and lose sleep about, worry about. But really, when you're around these people, you learn to appreciate all the gifts.
Absolutely. And it's a real blessing to be around these people to see, how they can function now. General Pottinger, Kevin, and I go to Beaver's Bend to bring some of the guys from Colorado that most of them are amputees to go fishing at Beaver's Bend. And during the day, they have their prosthetics on. And they get worn out. And as soon as they hit the cabin, all you see are these prosthetic legs laying all around, and they're back, on their crutches or wheelchairs because, it's tough, just to watch them just open a door, in a wheelchair. You got to open it, and, we just take that for granted sometime. But it's people like y'all that help these people to have a better life. And we just appreciate y'all so much.
Well, thank you, Rick.
Thank you.
That means a lot to us, and it's something we're going to be doing until the Lord takes us. So that's the mission.
That's
And
good.
Doing it
Yeah.
while they're gone.
And we're
So
gonna
take it over.
We're going to turn it over to her.
She's a great one. So you're in good hands whenever you turn over to her. So
That's right.
They have taught me well, I will say that. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, she's Jean's clone. We have a lot of people that Jean is cutting back on her schedule, and she's seen people for generations, families. And they said, well, where's Dr. Tuggey? I said, well, she's not available, but we have another Dr. Tuggey. They're like, okay, let's go.
Yeah.
And so it works out well here.
The new and improved.
Yeah.
The new and improved. And,
I say we're
I'm not sure improved is a good word, but
Yeah.
new, yes.
No, she's got some. Like I said earlier, I feel like I've got I didn't even talk about it in school that I'm going to work for my mom because it's just such a privilege, to not have to go search for a job and start at square one, and to be able to just have a mentor you can say, hey, I'm in a pinch here. I really could use, can I pick your brain on, a treatment plan or whatever it is. And so to be able to have her is, I can't even express how lucky I am, honestly. So
Well, and
it's really cool.
Jean's seen in 40 plus years, she's seen about all of it. There's not a lot that she hasn't seen.
Yeah.
So she could quite look at it. And they only can teach you so much in school.
Mhm.
So for Leslie to be able to pick up the phone and say, hey, can you take a look at this x-ray? What do I do? Is quite I know a lot of her dental school friends are envious of that resource.
They are pissed. You are so lucky. It's like, I know. And then, we catch up every once in a while and like, how are things going? Like, what are you doing? And then I explain, my day to day, and they're like, don't even say it. I don't want to hear it because you've got it too good. So I definitely feel lucky. And also she's just built the best, well, both of them have built the best practice here, and the staff. I mean, some of them have known me since I was born. So that in itself is like, to be able to graduate and start working at this office where people have held me as a newborn baby, it's pretty cool. So, I have some patients like, I knew you when you were in your mom's stomach. So I'm like, man, that's pretty crazy. Now I'm, doing on you or whatever. So it's definitely special.
Yeah.
It is special.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank y'all so much for being a part of Hometown Heroes today. And thank you for all you do to support our veterans and our military. And, we're just honored to call y'all friends and to work with you on different things. And we're looking forward to next year having another war stories like we had this last year. So
Absolutely.
Yeah. That'd be
I'm
great.
going to ask Mary about that, but we'll do that on another day.
absolutely.
We need to put that on the calendar. Well, thank you very much for having us.
So much.
It's a
Well,
privilege.
thank you so much, and we'll have your number and a way to get a hold of y'all if you're interested in the Smiles for Vets or just need dental care. This is where to go. So
Okay.
we thank y'all so much, and y'all have a blessed day.
Thank you, Rick.
You as
Thanks.
well.
So we'll talk to you later, Mary.
Bye.
Okay, thank you. What great
What a
people.
family. Yeah, that's a neat family.
It
People
is.
that are doing stuff for other people, and there are people that would not do that, but they definitely are taking care of business. So and you could see the values and everything that they instilled in their children based on, getting to know Leslie and then hearing about her. It's, you can tell when people really get it, they get it right.
And it's real people. I mean, it's not like we're doing
No,
this
that's not
for business or we're doing this for that. But so
Right.
many times they're in the background, and I see the work they're doing, and just think, people like that get to give, to get to give, get to give. I mean, they're blessed, and they pass those blessings on to so many other people. And
Amazing.
it's just an honor to work with them, and then to team them up with people like the Pottingers. I mean, just incredible people. And our common bond with them and the Pottingers are the Fort Worth Air Power Council. Because we're all members of the Fort Worth Air Power Council. And I think a few years ago, probably 2018, 19. I think Matt and Gene were on the Fort Hood trip that I went on when I first became a member of the Air Power Council. And so it was good to get to know them like that. And then war stories, those stories that we help tell are those stories that can live on forever if we tell them enough. So
Right. Absolutely.
roll call is the 27th. And
It is. And the RSVP line's going to open on Monday.
we've had
Whew.
I know something's wrong when I start getting calls and emails about the reservation line, because I think, uh-oh. But
Yeah, we had some wires crossed, and some things that when we made some decisions to move things around a little bit we had decided that it was time to kind of look at the date we opened the RSVP, because opening it so early, then the veterans weren't making their appointments yet, and then they'd go to the VA, and then a lot of them canceled because of VA appointments. And once you get a VA appointment, you don't want to cancel that. You don't want to turn it down. You don't want to cancel it because they're hard to get, right? And so what we were having was a big problem with just so many cancellations. So we'd have a big wait list because we were full, but then we get all these cancellations. So I'm like, hey, we need to move that. It only takes a few days for us to fill up. We don't need to do it at the beginning of the month. Let's do it the Monday, basically about 12 days before the luncheon. And so we did that, and it worked really well. We had so many fewer cancellations. But when it got set up in the system by the person that does that, they set it up a few months in advance and had an automatic date on it to send it out, and it got sent out. And so then, yes, I got the calls and the voicemails and the texts and you name it. I was getting it. So we had to correct that. But in the end, the line will open on Monday at 9:00 in the morning. It will probably take only a little while for it to fill up. And then once it fills up, then we'll go to a waiting list. And we've been able to clear the wait list. We're going to be able to open up more seats than last time now that we know how many the room will hold. So I think it's all going to work out on that end. And of course, our focus is Gold Star families. Carla has an incredible plan. It's going to be great. And we just, want the folks to come out and listen and hear the stories and kind of understand putting themselves in somebody else's shoes. And I think that's going to be really cool. So I'm looking forward to it.
That's Terry Burgess is going to be there. He's going to be
one of them. Yes. Yep, absolutely.
And still time to go to roll-call.org, and you can sign up for the newsletter, and then that way you'll know you'll get an email about the reservation line being open if they sign up this week. Will it work that quick?
Well, the newsletter and the link went out, but when you go to the website, the very first thing you see pops up is the RSVP link.
Okay.
So they can just go right there on Monday at 9:00 in the morning. If they are signing up to come to the luncheon and they've never been before, then my suggestion is that they go in and they actually do a new member form so that we get their information, because that's how we determine that we are going to make their name tag. So in order for us to make a name tag for a person, we have to have their service information. And we get that from that new attendee form that they fill out when they hit the join today. So it's a join today tab that they'll hit.
Okay. So that's going to be another good meeting. I missed last month's meeting, but I'm looking forward to going to this new venue and checking it out. Probably going to be there a little bit longer than we anticipated. So
yeah.
But
we're planning for all of next year, so we'll.
Hopefully it won't be that long, but
we have dates already confirmed with them for next year, so that we can, what we don't want to do is not plan and then find out that we need to be there. So we, the folks at the church were awesome. We're really happy that they were able to accommodate us, and we look forward to a good relationship with them. It's so far so good. We can't complain, right?
That's right. This next month, we have the second annual Roll Call Clay Shoot, and that's going to be October the 13th at Defender Outdoors Clay Sporting Ranch, or I think that's the name of it. It's Defender Outdoors, but there's still time to be a sponsor, and there's still time to sign up for teams, and that's a great fundraiser. And that's our primary fundraiser for the year. So that's coming up. Also on the 13th, the Fall Fest at Pioneers Rest. If you aren't a shooter and you like history, at Pioneers Rest Cemetery, they're going to have a Fall Fest, so you can go down there and see some of the early graves of the early settlers of Fort Worth. It's the oldest cemetery in Fort Worth. November the 11th, we talked about it earlier, is the Veterans Day Golf Challenge, Freedom Mobility. There's still time to sign up for sponsorship and for teams. We're going to have the all veterans skydiving team. I think they were looking for a helicopter to do the golf ball drop. And then they may have the F-35 simulator out there. We have in the past. So it's just a great day. And it's at Robeson Ranch up in Denton County. And here's some information about some of the people that we're going to help with the proceeds. And then the 21st of November is one of our favorite events, Skyball. And it's going to be at Globe Life Field. Just a great evening. The Air Power Foundation does a great job at the Skyball and honoring our military and our veterans, and we just thank them for that. And then Return to D-Day Beaches Adventure, our friend Dwayne Lee, he may be already back from Normandy, but he just took a group to Normandy, and he's got a special if you make reservations for next year or book your trip for next year, then a $250 donation will be made in roll calls made to us. So, it's great to have companies like that that help us with the funds. So, a lot of stuff coming up.
Internet for a second.
I beg your pardon?
I said I lost my internet for a second. I'm gonna have to figure it out. It's definitely acting up today.
Well, there's a lot of stuff coming up. This is the season for all the nonprofits to do their fundraising. I was with Dan Lombardo for the One Tribe clay shoot the other day. We had a tremendous time out there. Light Up to Live, one of our organizations, they're going to have a clay shoot and a golf tournament next month. And then Sons of the Flag, they're going to have an evening of music next month. And then for right after Veterans Day, they'll have a luncheon, which is an incredible luncheon. I just enjoy going to that. So just a lot of stuff coming up. A lot of work on a lot of people's part to do all this. Holidays and Heroes is another organization that's out there. So just a lot of organizations that Mary and I are familiar with, and then there's hundreds more that we aren't familiar with. But it's a great time of giving, because this year giving's kind of down. Things are everybody's kind of in the wait and see mode. So
yeah, it's definitely tough. We had a board meeting last night and we talked about that exactly. That it seems like it's definitely getting more tricky. And everybody is doing their thing at the end of the year. I guess it's in hopes of end of year giving, but donations are down and sponsorships are down. And so you try to do everything you can to keep costs down. And, it's also the time that costs are going up. So our luncheon cost, our actual cost is going up to feed veterans. And so we're facing diminishing donations at the same time the cost of feeding the veterans is going up. And so it's a real difficult time, and a lot of organizations are facing the same thing. So, if you're out there and you can help us, or you feel more called to help somebody else, then, by all means, we all are, it's a season of galas and benefits and clay shoots and everything else to raise money for organizations. But look at the organizations, make sure you're picking ones that are doing the work for the veterans that you're trying to help with. Most of us have no paid staff. So, Holidays and Heroes, Roll Call, all the different groups that we deal with a lot don't have paid staff. So every penny goes into operating the organization. So help out where you can.
That's right. We just appreciate having Matt, Gene, and Leslie on today, and thank them for all they do to help our veterans and first responders with their Smiles for the Vet Clinic, and then the other clinics they do, and the other organizations that they're a member of. Smiles for Vet, here's a phone number for them, or an email address too. So just give them a call and see if they've got room to help another veteran. And we look forward to seeing everybody next week on Hometown Heroes, and looking forward to roll call this month. It's going to be good. So, Mary, thank you for being a part of this.